For more than 100 days, congressional Democrats tried to block all funding for the Department of Homeland Security in a reprehensible attempt to throw open the borders of the United States of America. They want to drag us straight back to chaos and crime of the crooked Joe Biden administration, one of the most corrupt administrations. The bill provides crucial funding for domestic law enforcement investigations and combating child exploitation, continuing our work to restore law and order across our nation and to protect America's youth.
President Trump signing the long-stalled budget package, fully funding ICE and Border Patrol through the end of his second term. This package provides $38 billion for ICE, $26 billion for Border Patrol, and $5 billion for discretionary funding for DHS. Senate appropriators now signaling that a third reconciliation bill is unlikely. Just as House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith told me weeks ago, Senate Majority Leader John Thune also told me that another reconciliation bill should not take away from what was accomplished in the big, beautiful bill. Joining me now is Montana Congressman Troy Downing. He's a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, what are your thoughts on this? I feel like the House would like to see another reconciliation opportunity, but the Senate is a little more prudent on that, acting as if there is not enough time if you want to get this done before the August recess.
Well, good morning, Maria. And I think that's the issue. I mean, I'm really happy that we were able to get what we're calling Reconciliation 2.0 through. And I would note that we didn't get a single Democrat vote on that in the House, keeping paychecks out of our federal law enforcement. And it's just, it's been an interesting exercise seeing the Democrats in the previous administration with open, border policies and all the problems they've created, from, bad actors to, criminals to, human trafficking, all the things that happen, and now they just want to shut that down, where they were all on board originally with the original regular order appropriations bills and just playing games. But I will say I'm happy we got that signed into law, because it's important that we have those federal, the ICE and CBP, that federal law enforcement doing its job. But to your question, yes, I agree. It's a short time frame. I mean, we're ready in the House to roll up our sleeves and get things through, because there's still things that we need to accomplish, that we want to accomplish. Spending cuts, national security funding. There's so many things that are still on our agenda, and I think there's a lot of energy on the House side to do this. And I'm hoping that the other chamber can see fit to actually get something through with the scant number of legislative days that we have going into the end of the year.
Well, you're right. I mean, I think the energy is on the House side. The Senate is seems a lot more negative in terms of whether or not this is doable. Meanwhile, there's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, set to expire tomorrow. The president is urging Congress to pass a short-term extension of FISA. Republicans may need Democrat support to get this done, though. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries claims he will not support an extension as long as Bill Pulte remains the president's choice for acting director of national intelligence. Here's the president calling out Democrats on this yesterday. Watch.
You need their votes.
We can't let them extort us. I told the guys today, we can't let them. They've done it on numerous occasions. I said we can. What we're signing today has been amazing, but they tried to extort us, and eventually, and they were losing tremendous support because they're extorting on law and order.
I mean, Congressman, how is this possible that they are extorting the Republicans and holding people hostage to whatever they want the president to do? I posed this question to John Thune yesterday in terms of Bill Pulte. Now, they say they're not going to pass FISA because of Bill Pulte. Watch this. Hakeem Jeffries said over the weekend he will not support the extension of Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. That expires this week, FISA, unless the president withdraws his nomination for Bill Pulte. And you say?
Well, that's an irresponsible position on behalf of the Democrats. Another irresponsible position. And it goes along with open borders, defund the police, sanctuary cities. Now we're going to defund the intelligence gathering capability that has been responsible for 90% of the drug busts that we've had, and it's prevented terrorist attacks. It is a tool. It's a national security tool. It needs to be reauthorized. The Democrats have indicated, we moved to proceed to it last week. They block voted against it. We've got to take care of the business of national security. If we don't get that right, the rest is conversation. And the Democrats right now are dug in over this Pulte issue, and it's an irresponsible position to take.
Why are they so dug in, Senator?
Well, I mean, I think they view him as part of, quote, weaponization at the housing agencies, and are at least fearful, or they're saying that this is, they think he'll do this in the intelligence world. These things are totally unrelated. Reauthorizing, if you're worried about the management of the DNI, what you want is guardrails around whoever is in there. This bill does that.
Yeah, Congressman, and then I went on to say to the leader, look, why are the Democrats always the one who are the loudest in the room? Meanwhile, why aren't the Republicans louder about weaponization? They've weaponized this government and the agencies in it against President Trump now for 10 years.
Well, we've seen this play out over and over again. Even the conversation we just had regarding CBP and ICE funding, it's become so politicized. And I think that the Democrats have become a party of what can we do to thwart what President Trump, what the Republicans are trying to do, and they've completely abandoned anything reasonable in terms of protecting this nation. And you know, this FISA 702 is an incredibly important tool to national security. Obviously, there's been concerns in the past about whether, you know, the warrantless search part, whether, you know, this is a Fourth Amendment infringement. But there's been 56 reforms made to that, and we're still having those conversations on making it right. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to have this intel to protect Americans. And the fact that the Democrats are playing this game and putting Americans at risk, I think they've lost touch of what their job is to do here in Congress. I mean, one of our biggest things is to protect the American people.
Exactly. Congressman, real quick before you go, you got Kevin Warsh's first meeting as chairman next week. Any expectations from your standpoint on the Financial Services Committee?
Well, I'm really looking forward to that. I think that where we're at right now, in terms of any movement, I don't see anything. I think stability is going to be there. I mean, there's been a little bit of ups and downs in the stock markets, but I don't expect any major changes right now. But I'm really looking forward to that first hearing.
All right, Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much. Troy Downing,
thank you so much, Maria.
On Capitol Hill. We'll see you soon, sir. Thank you. We'll be right back.